Good evening, everybody. As it is 8 o'clock, I would like to begin this week's Zen and Zazen class. This week, I will talk about Suzuki Shunryu Roshi's Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. But before that, as always, let's sit together for half an hour. Thank you everybody for joining. Now I will talk for a little bit, and after that we have the question and answer session. And of course, you're welcome to unmute yourself during the question and answers, but especially during Zazen, it would be good if you mute yourself, because we record this and I will later post it to YouTube. Sometimes it happens when some people have their microphone unmuted, that, how do you say, Zoom is focusing on their camera from that point on. Sometime in the past it happened that somebody's cat was walking over the keyboard and we could see the cats later on YouTube, which was funny. But if you want to avoid that, just keep your microphone muted. Be that as it may, today I will talk about Suzuki Shunryu's Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. Last time I talked about it before the summer. I was hoping to finish one chapter each class, but I ended in the middle of the posture chapter, so I want to continue there. I won't finish this chapter in only one class. Let me share the screen with you, and those of you who want to look at the text, you will find later in the video description a link. I haven't shared on Zoom for a while and I can't find the button in the
It's in the
place
middle,
where I...
in the bottom,
Pardon?
green
Pardon?
button. It's a green button in the middle.
Ah, yeah. Thank you. Now I see it. Thank you. It was so obvious because of the green color that I didn't see it. Okay, this is the chapter I talked about last time, posture. It's page 25 on the PDF that you can find on the internet. And this is where I stopped this paragraph here. It's about keeping ears and shoulders in one line, relaxing the shoulders, and pulling the chill a little bit in, not avoiding to have it tilted up. When your chin is tilted up, you have no strength in your posture. You're probably dreaming. Also, to gain strength in your posture, press your diaphragm down towards your hara or lower abdomen. And two commenters asked me a question about this last week. I tried to answer to this. Last week I said I'm a little bit confused because one of the commenters said that when we inhale, we press the diaphragm downwards. And I said, to me, it seems the opposite way around. When I inhale, I relax the diaphragm, and when I exhale, I press it down. But actually, it was my mistake. Somebody again commented on the last video, but it's a German language. But I have no really anatomical knowledge of our bodies. So to be honest, I don't really exactly know what the diaphragm is. But obviously it's true that when we inhale, the diaphragm is moving downwards, opposite to what I say. And when we exhale, it's moving upwards. But the question was, are we supposed to always press it downward? And the answer is no. No, we don't have to press it downwards while inhaling and exhaling. And another question would also be, is it possible to press the diaphragm downwards? As I told you last time, to me, I said it feels as if the diaphragm is relaxing when I inhale. Obviously, that was wrong. It's moving downwards. But I'm not aware of any muscles attached to my diaphragm that would allow me to move it downwards. Or at least I don't know how I would do that. So basically, what I was thinking of when I breathe out, I contract my belly. So I use the muscles in this area to breathe out. And the belly is contracting. Then I relax these muscles. The belly is expanding, and that's when I breathe in. And actually, when I breathe now during Zazen, I don't do this consciously. So I'm not, how do you say, contracting the muscles and then relaxing them again. But in the beginning, as I said last time, it might help you to jumpstart diaphragmal breathing. But when it becomes a habit for you to breathe this way during Zazen, you don't have to do it consciously anymore. So I usually wouldn't instruct a beginner to push his diaphragm downward. And as I said, I don't really understand how that would work to push the diaphragm downward. I can move my belly muscles here in this area, but I wouldn't know how to move my diaphragm. Be that as it may, Suzuki Shunryu Roshi says that this helps you to gain strength in your posture. I would rather say, well, it helps your diaphragmal breathing, helps you to lower your center of gravity, so to speak. And in Zen, the idea is to lower it. So it's not so much about moving it upwards, but rather the idea in Zen is that most of our time we spend in our head or we spend here, and you drop the center of gravity. And being conscious of diaphragmal breathing might help you to drop the center of gravity. That's what I personally would prefer to talking about strength in the posture. But again, also Sawaki Roshi often used these expressions, sit with the intention to break with your skull through the ceiling. So maybe it's also a little bit the era where people like Sawaki Roshi or Suzuki Roshi lived, people that lived during war times and especially during the 40s, 50s, 60s. I have the feeling that there was much more emphasis on power or strength in your posture, while today the emphasis is more on relaxation and letting it happen. I also prefer more to speak about letting it happen, allow your spine to grow. But let me continue. This will help you to maintain your physical and mental balance. When you try to keep this posture, at first you may find some difficulty breathing naturally, but when you get accustomed to it, you will be able to breathe naturally and deeply. And at that point, there's no need to press the abdomen downwards consciously anymore. In my idea, it's just going to happen. Your hand should form the cosmic mudra. That's this posture here. If you put your left hand on top of your right, middle joints of your middle fingers, that would be the middle joints. I'm not, probably this section here is meant. So here there's 3 joints and the middle one, they're lying on top of each other, approximately. Actually, it's not the same for each of the fingers. It's not the same for each of the fingers, so they're not exactly above each other. But the idea is that these 4 fingers and those 4 fingers lie on top of each other. Middle joints of your middle fingers. Middle fingers, okay. So yeah, that makes sense. In the case of the middle fingers, the middle joints are exactly above each other. and touch your thumbs lightly together as if you held a piece of paper between them. That's an expression that I often hear, that they should touch so slightly as if there's just one piece of paper between them. But again, we all get the idea. We get the idea. But if you think about it, how do you say precisely? If there's a piece of paper between them that I don't know if they are touching, because they don't touch each other. They would touch the paper. There would be just a split of a millimeter in between. And of course, that's not the case. Of course, you can feel, the tips of the thumbs can feel each other. So there's not a piece of paper in between. They touch each other directly, but there's no pressure. So the idea is that you shouldn't sit like this. The thumbs shouldn't form a mountain. And also, when you get sleepy, they shouldn't hang down like this. They should be straight and touching just so slightly. Your hands will make a beautiful oval. You should keep this universal mudra with great care, as if you were holding something very precious in your hand. Your hands should be held against your body with your thumbs at about the height of your navel. Let me first comment on this a little bit. So what Suzuki Roshi is saying here is one way of explaining it that I heard also in Japan a number of times. Basically, the hands are touching your body. The thumbs are on the height of the navel, and maybe they could also touch the navel if you want to. You could place them here. Hands touching the body, thumbs touching the navel. And about the oval, there's different points of view. Some people say that actually the bigger the oval is, the better. But when you look at pictures of, for example, Sawagi Roshi, it's a kind of a flat oval, more like this. I'm not quite sure the way Suzuki Roshi held them. And I said it's one way of teaching it, because I heard other people say that actually the mudra of the hands shouldn't be touching the body, but rather you should have it somewhere on your feet like this. And in the case like myself, where right now I'm sitting in full lotus, and that means that this foot is a little bit higher than that. And if I hold the mudra like this, then if I sit for a long time, my right hand, the wrist here gets a little bit tired. So it's not a big problem, but if it becomes a problem for you, you can solve it by putting something here. Or if you don't have the feet in the lotus posture, but you have the feet on the floor sitting in Burmese posture, it can also help to have a support for your hands. For example, you can also use a towel like this. If you have a towel here, that helps the mudra to stay in place. And what I was trying to say, what I was going to say, Suzuki Roshi here says they should be touching the body, which is one way you can place them. But another way, which is also okay, is to place them a little lower like this. Is it the same? No, it's not the same. From my experience, when you're sleepy, tired, it helps you to concentrate when they're touching the body. So there's more, how do you say, focus. There's more energy, I would say, when they're actually touching the body, and also when the thumbs are touching the navel. There's more energy here, there's more concentrated focus. While having them here creates more inner space, more relaxation. So it's up to you to decide. If you're tense, you're nervous, it might help to have the hands down here because of this extra space. It helps to relax from my experience. While if you feel a little bit fuzzy, a little bit dreamy, then it might be idea to try this. So what Suzuki Roshi says here is not wrong, but it's only one side. And I, from my point of view, would add that sometimes you can also try this. And depending on your condition on that day, maybe this sometimes is the better option. But you can try and experiment by yourself on that. Okay, so I didn't proceed so much, but in 2 weeks, I'm going to go back to the posture. If you have any questions about what I just said or about anything else, you're welcome to ask them now. Just raise your hand, or if you like, you can also start talking just like that. Any questions? Anything that you would like to share?
Yes.
Bernhard, please.
Hi. First, let me say, I think this with the diaphragm, this might be a misunderstanding of the English word diaphragm, and because I would think it would be not healthy to consciously, use the diaphragm. That would be, it would just move naturally. But what I would like to ask, so I have heard, I think this is from the 3 pillars of Zen, that you should push the air out somewhere below the navel, you know, like not pushing it out of your nose, but in your mind, push it out on some spot below the navel, like zip, going out of your hara. Have you
Mhm.
heard that, and what do you think about it?
What I heard is like, for example, when you have pain in the knees, imagine to breathe out through the knees.
Ah,
And of course, I mean, there's no nostrils here, so you cannot physically breathe out through here, but it kind of sometimes helps you to kind of relax and let go of this pain. Or my first Zen teacher, her name is Gundula Maya, she said also breathe through the buttocks. So you can fart, but you cannot breathe out there. But I think, well, you could mentally imagine it helps you to focus on this area. But um, I personally, like, if you ask about my practice, I mean, I feel the moving of my belly, but I don't imagine that I'm breathing out through this area. I'm perfectly aware that I'm breathing out through my nose here. But I think the idea of Kapleau and others is that you should focus on your lower areas here rather than because the nose is in the middle of the head. If you focus on the nose all the time, your consciousness is up here. So I think the idea is focus focus on this area. But of course, we don't breathe through the navel and we don't breathe through the buttocks either. I think it's what in Buddhism you would call a upaya, a skillful means to help us kind of lower our, how do you say, center of gravity. At least that's what I would imagine. But I never heard anybody say seriously that you should try to breathe out through the navel.
no. Yeah, thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, as you probably know, sometimes you have to take all these teaching with a, how do you say, a pinch of salt? You say in English? Don't take them too seriously. Don't take them too seriously. Anything else you would like to ask or share? Wolfgang, please. You're still muted. Wolfgang, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah. There's no way to unmute you from this side, I guess. You're still in mute. I can ask to unmute you, but I can't unmute you from my side. So I don't know, in my case, there's this audio, the microphone at the bottom left side. And if you click on that, you should be able to unmute yourself. At the bottom of the Zoom screen in the center, there was the share button that Timea just taught me about. And there's React, there's chat participants, video, and on the far left, there's the audio. If you click on that, you should unmute yourself.
Okay,
Okay, now. Okay, good, good.
okay.
You learned at least something. You learned at least something during this class.
I have only the hand with the smartphone here. On Sunday, you were
Yes.
sitting in the park, half lotus, and now you sit full lotus. When do you
Yes.
sit full and when half?
Usually when I do session, I sit half lotus. And when I sit a single period or maybe two periods also, like in Antaiji, we said 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. And on normal days in Antaiji, I sat in full lotus. But 2 hours for me is the maximum. If I sit like yesterday, we said 9 hours. I can't sit 9 hours in full lotus. So then I do the half lotus. When we sat together in Wai'an in Germany a month ago, I was also sitting in half lotus.
Mhm. A long time ago, I was sitting full lotus. Now I'm old. It's only Burmesisch sitting.
Yeah, that's also okay. Or sitting on a chair is also okay. It's not the same, but there's no need to force yourself to sit in full lotus.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm happy to still be able to sit full lotus for an hour or so, but maybe in 10 years or so, it's not possible anymore. So you have to work with that. We all get older.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you have to accept that. Any other questions? Anything else you would like to share? Ah, good evening, Chris. Back from work? Yeah, often the class is until 9, but if you have no more questions, I would say let's finish a little bit earlier today. In 1 week, I will be back and talk about Sawaki Roshi's quotes from this book to you. And in 2 weeks, I will continue with the last part on the posture. And after that, there's going to be a chapter on the breathing. So we will come back to that topic, breathing, and read what Suzuki Roshi has to say about breathing. So for today, I would like to thank you for coming, and especially Schwan-san for hosting us here as every week. And I wish you a nice week. Hope to see you again next week. See you. Bye.